Rain poured down over Manhattan's glowing streets as Ethan Cole, the city's youngest billionaire CEO, sat alone in his sleek black limo. The world saw a man who had everything: power, wealth, and respect. But inside he was hollow. Since losing his fiancée 3 years ago, love had become something he buried beneath board meetings and sleepless nights. The limo stopped at a red light near a small bakery. Through the rain-streaked window, Ethan noticed a woman struggling to hold an umbrella over a little girl's head while serving coffee to late-night customers. The child's laughter, pure and innocent, somehow pierced the silence inside his car. Moments later, as he rolled down the window to offer the child his umbrella, she walked closer, eyes bright with curiosity. "Sir," she said softly, "you look sad." Ethan blinked, surprised.
Sad?
"Why would you think that?" The little girl tilted her head, her tiny fingers gripping the window frame. "Because people who have no one always look that way," she whispered. Then, with the kind of honesty only a child could carry, she added, "You need a wife, and I need a dad." Her words struck him like thunder. Simple, sincere, and impossibly healing. For the first time in years, Ethan smiled. He didn't know then that those words would unravel everything he thought he knew about love, loss, and second chances. Ethan couldn't shake the little girl's words from his mind. The next morning, he found himself outside the same bakery where he'd seen her. The bell above the door chimed softly as he stepped inside, the warm scent of cinnamon and coffee wrapping around him like a forgotten memory. Behind the counter stood a young woman with tired eyes and flour on her cheek. Yet, even exhaustion couldn't hide her gentle beauty. "Good morning," she said, her voice soft but kind. "What can I get for you?" Ethan hesitated, his gaze drifting to the small table by the window where the little girl was coloring with broken crayons. "She's your daughter?" he asked quietly. The woman's hands paused mid-motion. "Yes," she replied, smiling faintly. "Her name's Lily. She thinks every stranger is a friend waiting to happen." Ethan chuckled softly. "She told me something last night that I can't forget." The woman's eyebrows lifted in curiosity. "Oh? What did she say this time?" He looked down, feeling oddly nervous. "She told me I need a wife, and she needs a dad." For a moment, silence hung between them. Then the woman's lips curved into a wistful smile. "Sounds like Lily," she said quietly. "She misses having a father. But we've learned to make do." Ethan nodded, something deep within him stirring. There was strength in her voice, but loneliness too, a mirror of his own. As he left the bakery with a coffee he didn't remember ordering, he found himself glancing back through the glass window. Lily was waving at him with both hands, her mother smiling faintly behind her. And for the first time in years, Ethan felt something he hadn't felt in forever: hope. Ethan started visiting the bakery more often, first out of curiosity, then because he simply couldn't stay away. Each morning he'd order the same thing: black coffee and a cinnamon roll he barely touched. But it wasn't the food he came for. It was Lily's laughter and her mother's quiet strength. Her name was Grace. Fitting, he thought, because she carried herself with it even when life clearly hadn't been kind. She worked long hours, raising Lily alone while managing the little shop left behind by her late husband. Ethan never mentioned who he was. To her, he was just Mr. Cole, the polite customer with kind eyes and an expensive watch. One afternoon, as the shop grew empty, Lily ran up to him holding a crayon drawing. "It's us," she said proudly. "You, me, and Mommy. We're smiling." Ethan stared at the childish sketch. 3 stick figures holding hands beneath the sun. Something inside him cracked open. He'd built empires, conquered markets, but nothing compared to the warmth of this small, fragile connection. That night, when he returned home to his cold penthouse, the silence felt heavier than ever. He poured himself a drink, but all he saw in his mind was Lily's smile and Grace's soft laughter as she wiped flour from her face. A few days later, he made a quiet decision. He called his assistant and arranged for a business grant to be delivered anonymously to Grace's bakery, just enough to fix the broken oven and pay her debts. He told himself it was just charity, Nothing more. But deep down, Ethan knew he was lying. A week later, Grace's bakery buzzed with life again. The repaired oven filled the air with the comforting scent of freshly baked bread, and customers returned, smiling, curious, happy. Grace couldn't stop wondering who had sent the anonymous envelope, a grant that had saved her business from closing. She had asked everyone she knew. No one claimed it. But every morning, Mr. Cole came by as usual, sitting in his quiet corner, smiling at Lily's stories. Something about him felt both familiar and distant, like someone carrying too many secrets. That evening, as Grace was locking up, she saw a black limo parked across the street. The tinted window rolled down just enough for her to see Ethan inside, talking to someone on the phone. His words drifted through the rain, sharp, confident, businesslike. "Transfer the remaining funds to the bakery account," he said. "Make sure it's anonymous." Grace froze. Her heart skipped. It was him. The next morning, she waited for him to arrive. When he did, she placed his usual coffee in front of him. But this time, her tone was soft yet firm. "You didn't have to do that," she said quietly. Ethan looked up, startled. "Do what?" She smiled sadly. "Help us. You could have just told me who you were." He sighed, guilt flickering in his eyes. "I didn't want you to treat me differently. I just wanted to help." Lily appeared then, holding her mother's hand, her little voice breaking the tension. "Mommy, are you mad at my friend?" Grace knelt beside her daughter, tears glistening. "No, sweetheart. Sometimes grown-ups hide their hearts when they're afraid." Ethan looked away, his voice barely above a whisper. "Maybe it's time I stop hiding mine." Days passed after that quiet confrontation. Ethan didn't visit the bakery for a while. He told himself it was better that way, that Grace deserved a simple life without the chaos that followed him. Yet every night, he found himself staring at the sketch Lily had given him, the three of them holding hands beneath a bright, childish sun. One rainy afternoon, Ethan's limo stopped again near the bakery. He saw the closed sign on the door and his chest tightened. But then, through the glass, he spotted Grace and Lily sitting at a corner table, decorating cupcakes and laughing together. For the first time, he didn't hesitate. He stepped out into the rain and walked inside. Lily's eyes lit up. "You came back," she squealed, running into his arms. Grace smiled softly. "We thought you forgot about us." He shook his head. "I tried," he admitted. "But it turns out, I'm not very good at forgetting." Grace laughed quietly, wiping her hands on her apron. "Neither am I." There was silence, gentle, meaningful. Then Ethan knelt down beside Lily. "Hey, kiddo," he said, his voice trembling just a little. "You once told me something I can't stop thinking about." Lily tilted her head. "What did I say?" He smiled. "You said I need a wife, and you need a dad." He glanced up at Grace, eyes glistening. "Maybe you were right." Grace's lips parted, tears filling her eyes as Lily clapped her hands. "Does that mean we're a family now?" Ethan reached for Grace's hand. "If you'll have me," he whispered. Grace nodded, tears turning to laughter. "Welcome home."